right now.
Yes.
Hello,
absolutely.
Dan. How are you?
Hello.
Start from the very beginning. Where were you born? Where are you from? What's your story?
Well, I was born in Ashland, Ohio.
That's a real place, right? You're not making that up?
That's a real place,
okay.
yes. I've been a musician since I was 5 years old. I remember standing on a milk crate at the church pulpit next to my father, who was a reverend and church pastor, and my mother was at the piano. We were a trio, and I sang the soprano part. At that time, the Blackwood Brothers Gospel Quartet sang at the church, and the music made a huge impression on me. I found out later that they were Elvis Presley's favorite group. I began playing the piano at age 10 years old and probably performed at least 1,000 times as a soloist, member of various choirs and other ensembles. There were one-man shows, and I played in rock bands. I began writing music professionally at the age of 19.
There's another poor man who lives down the street who doesn't have the money for new shoes on his feet. He works hard each day to earn his wage. It seems that life is a surrounding cage. And when I see the confusion all around us, I know that this is nothing humorous. So you know it's out of order. Let's all try to put the pieces back together again.
Talking to Dan Nowman Niswander.
But it's
Niswander.
just think nice and wander.
Niswander.
My Swiss grandfather.
Did I say
didn't speak
Niswander?
English.
I think I said Niswander.
Something like that. It's very
Okay.
easy to mispronounce.
I just
It's
said
okay.
it in the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. You were being
Okay.
spontaneous. I worked as a background actor in Hollywood TV shows and films, and worked on various film projects, and taught English in Japan while in California in my 20s. When I was back east in Indianapolis, Indiana, and in the Midwest, I recorded 2 professional albums. I've always been in a music family. Music's been the thing I've done longer than anything else in my life. Revolution of the Heart was released in 1999.
This is the story of a woman. This is the story of a man. And the feeling that they share is that they really care about everyone. Whether rich or poor, the heart is an open door for good. They understand compassion.
Chameleon, that featured Dane Clark, the drummer from the John Mellencamp Band.
This next one is called Chameleon. There's just another lonely man out there on the streets with a phony smile for everyone he meets. His life is up and down, but mostly down. He's quite ignored, he's not the talk of the town. He lives on nothing almost every day. He wastes his money when there's bills to pay. He looks around
quirky, funky space.
One night in your room when the folks are gone, a bright light comes through your window, way before dawn. These cool cats get off this metallic ship. They're wearing gray suits and they look real hip. They like the human race and they'll show us how they dance in the funky space. Funky outer space. Funky space. Funky space. Funky space.
We now return you to your regular scheduled program.
And also Surfing with Jesus with co-producers, twin brothers Eric Klee and Mark Johnson. And that was definitely a crowd favorite. I performed and produced dozens of live shows as a one-man act, and then the Niswander Band, including a monthly variety show at Birdie's Live nightclub for 3 years.
I was used to producing live shows, and even had a variety show at a nightclub for 4 years. And I could bring in characters, which, you know, Nowman was one of my characters, technically. And I one night, actually, I had to stop the show and let Prince and New Power Generation play, so it was pretty cool.
I guess that's, if you got to let somebody play.
Yeah, right?
Might as well be Prince and the New Power Generation.
But I was also one of those kinds of people that just like, you know, not just music, you know, people like David Bowie inspired me to do anything I wanted to do, right?
And the Niswander Band played at a huge Clear Channel music festival that featured several stages and acts as diverse as Blondie, Los Lobos, The Roots, George Thorogood and the Destroyers, and Sugar Ray. The band performed live on the local Fox Morning News show twice, and my music was played on commercial radio stations in Indianapolis. I performed about a dozen characters in my live shows and videos that I called
Niswander Rock Theater.
The characters included Nowman, the superhero of the present moment, avant-garde artist Chip Jingleheimer, stand-up comedian Buddy Shine, Dan Westwood, who was a British undercover secret agent, Lukewarm, a storyteller, rock and roller mellow man, punk rocker Glam Sam, Mojo Workman, Dr. Hans Nutcase, time traveler. I had a lot of fun with it, mixed it up with rock and roll. The album 2003 release, Adventures in Wonderland. It includes the melodic punk rock song, Read a Book.
How's everybody doing? Thank you very much. Kulaks, this is great. I've been here before. I used to live down the street, actually. I need love, but that's not all. Something to stimulate my brain. It doesn't have to be that deep. Something to take with me on a plane. I like to read a book, but it's a song that has a hook. Travel to exotic places, I want to read a book. Well, there's always a story to find, subject matter of any kind. Not just look at the pictures, I want to read a book. Oh, just like me. And no matter where you so much to give, because love is something to receive. And if for some reason we don't agree, I still must love you, and you still must love me. We may not seem to get along, but love is the reason for this song, and I've got to love you this way.
Also, Everyone.
The nth degree, because it feels so natural. Like beauty is more than skin deep, it isn't just physical. We have a special bond, it doesn't matter what you call it. So simple yet complex, like a puzzle, every piece has a fit now. I said everyone in this place makes the world go round. Everyone in this place makes the world go round. Everyone in this place makes the world go round. Everyone in this place makes the world go round and round.
Mojo, I've Got to Love You This Way, and Fun to the Nth Degree, which is the theme song of Nowman, superhero of the present moment, and later my television show, The Nowman Show.
Welcome one and all to the carnival, into the festivity of the diversity. A celebration like a party atmosphere. Live life to the fullest and keep the mind clear. I know it sounds cliche to be the best that we can be. Open up your eyes, tell me, what do you see? Now use common sense when it comes to having fun. Don't have to be a rocket scientist to know how this is done. And I say,
I also co-produced my first short film with Matt Summers that was a 20-minute promotional film called Chameleon, included on this album, and it was screened at the Alternative Film Festival in Indianapolis in 2004. During that time, I was president and co-founder of a nonprofit called the Olive Branch Society and was a media ambassador for the UN program Adopt a Minefield, which included working as an internet reporter in a Hollywood press corps, lots of interviews, including Jay Leno and Mickey Rooney, producing and hosting benefit concerts, and being a featured contributor to their fall 2004 newsletter, The Deminer. During this time, I was also published in the Nouveau News Weekly newspaper and played the part of Taylor Garrison in the London Sci-Fi Film Festival award-winning fan film Saving Star Wars that starred the original Darth Vader, David Prowse. And after finishing a bachelor's degree in marketing, I returned to Southern California in 2007 and was a primary organizer for Occupy the Rose Parade and appeared as Nowman with actor Jason Alexander of Seinfeld in one of his videos on funnyordie.com in 2012.
You yell out now, I'll yell out the rest, and watch what happens. Okay.
now!
Meet, discuss, create something, implement. Woo! Look at that. We've changed hearts and minds. That's right. Already. That's right. Good job. Yes, we're going to do it. And when are we going to do it?
Right now!
Exactly.
Because all that exists
is right now.
And a moment from now.
Let's talk about
yeah, a lot
Nowman,
of
because
stuff.
you've brought up characters before. What's the Nowman?
The Nowman is the superhero of the present moment.
Okay.
So I've been working on it for a while. Like, for instance, the Nowman's on the cover of this album here. But I also experimented when YouTube came along. I thought, well, I could do something with this character, you know, and just very basic stuff. And then I wrote this book because I wanted to develop the character more and what goes on in the mind of a superhero, right?
Okay.
And
The
so I just
universe
kind of
according to Nowman.
yeah, and
Nowman.
I just wrote it, you know, real spontaneous. Like I went day by day, like a journal, right? And just like, what am I feeling today? And so there's a lot of interesting little antidotes and things, spontaneous moments that happen just like when you write music.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about that transition from your wanderings around the world to landing here?
I'd been, like I say, I was back east when I was doing a lot of the professional music stuff, and I was ready to come back to California. I'd lived here before, in my 20s. I worked on film and stuff like that for a while, and and I wanted to find a way to motivate myself to get back into the creative process again, because there was an economic downturn, and I thought, well, maybe music's not the way to go. So
Enter Nowman.
Enter Nowman. I said, Nowman, that's perfect.
I created and DJ'd the internet radio show, the Nowman Show, Deep Cuts and More on Kill Radio from 2014 to 2016.
And while that was going on, someone suggested to me, actually a former co-producer, why don't you try cable access television? And I thought, what a great idea. Nowman on television in a bigger way.
Okay.
So that's when I started developing the idea. And even with all the work that I'd already done, it still took a year before I really had what I wanted.
Well, let's take a look at the clip. Then I want to come back and talk to you a little bit more about some of that. We have a clip of the Nowman Show with Dan Nowman Niswander. Let's take a look.
I like to watch the Nowman Show because it is better than the best show on all of TV.
And that's what we've been suffering from, pretended patriotism. They use patriotism to lie us into a war in Iraq. They use patriotism to do drone attacks on children. They use patriotism to demonize Putin or anybody in the country who won't go snap to our fingers. They have used the war on terror to gain a degree of power and observation over the American people that no dictator ever had.
Unconditional guaranteed income for everyone.
Oh, not a bad idea, actually. I'm all for that. That's not, I've heard people talk about that, like the philosophers like Alan Watts.
Yeah.
He said something interesting. He said, money isn't wealth, it just measures wealth, right? So when the stock market crashes, we still have the same wealth in America. There's just an accounting problem. He said that's like showing, if you show up at the bank and they go, we're out of money, we'll print more. He goes, it's just like showing up at a construction site and saying, hey, we were out of inches. What? What do you mean you're out of, they just measure what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not what you're doing.
Baila conmigo este sol. A timbalera, esta la comida del sol. A timbalera, baila conmigo este sol. A timbalera, esta la comida del sol. Esta la comida del sol. El horizonte se va a aclarar y todo el mundo quiere bailar. Pues la comida del sol.
The wind will change, the water main will break, risks happen, and so you got to kind of always be trying to get more surplus, more profits, because the more you have, the safer you are to face any eventuality. It's built into the system that the capitalist's anxiety about keeping his or her hands on that surplus means you got to use the surplus to build your company to get more surplus and therefore become safer. And so the system has built into it not just the need to get as much surplus as possible, but to grow the enterprise, to build it out. Because if you don't, you risk collapse, disaster.
This is Niswander, and you're watching the Nowman Show. And today I'm here with David Bowie's piano man, Mike Garson. Hello, it's great to see you again.
Likewise.
This is fantastic. So a lot has happened, actually, since we were last in this room together. The David Bowie celebration concert I attended at the Wiltern.
Sting was kind of a wild highlight both nights. He was supposed to come just one night. He liked it so much he came back, and he sang, I think, Lazarus, right?
And he did Black Star.
Anyone who has the real jazz sensibility tends to like to create in the moment.
And you are obviously a medical doctor. What is the best way going forward to get a single payer in this country? Most countries have that, and we need it too.
Exactly. We need it, and we can afford it, in fact, because it doesn't cost any more than what we are paying right now. It simply ensures that our healthcare dollars are paying for healthcare, not for health profiteering. We need a healthcare system that is established for people, not for making profit. So again, this is all a matter of achieving critical mass. We need to come together as the many movements we are for health justice, for climate justice, for racial and economic and LGBT justice, and women's justice. When we get together with the courage of our convictions, we're unstoppable.
That's a pretty eclectic blend of content that you have right there.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, just that it's quite a bit.
Yeah.
Tell me how you got to LA. You've transitioned your character into the show, and you say Nowman is a superhero, but the content you're doing, this is not like typical superhero type stuff. You're dealing with some pretty heavy content. You got some pretty heavy hitters as far as guests are concerned and whatnot. How does all of that work?
Well, it's like, again, it's a work in progress. Like, it's, part of living in the moment. I mean, to be honest, it's a way of life for me. I discovered that kind of by accident. It's like, the more I live in the moment, the freer I feel to just be spontaneous, right? Like I'm right now, and that's where the show.
Yeah, it's pretty spontaneous.
Yeah.
I'm feeling this.
I mean, it's like songwriting, my experience with songwriting is just a very spontaneous thing, and same thing with Nowman, which, by the way, that theme song, Fun to the Nth Degree, is basically Nowman's
with
theme
the person
song.
random screaming. What is it? Is he saying now? What is he saying right there?
Well, he says fun, love, and living.
Okay.
So the chorus is, fun to the nth degree, love to the nth degree, living to the nth degree.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and so that's the theme song of Nowman, and I said, why not use it as the theme song of a TV show too? So,
and you put together a pretty good team of people, not only outside of here, but here at Pasadena Media. You have a pretty strong core of people that you've come together with, and you guys all work on each other's shows.
The mindset is cooperation and relationship based, and that's always been really, really important to me. Even when I played in bands. Did any kind of production in the studio, recording music, it's always been about relationships and cooperate, but also develop relationships even with you guys. You know what I mean? Which is actually really special to me.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
The Nowman Show is a cultural magazine variety show focusing on arts, entertainment, education, news, and also politics in the 21st century. As a variety show, it features interviews with household names in the music, film, and television industries, including Academy, Emmy, Grammy, and other award-winning artists, directors, and producers, such as actors Ed Asner, Mary Tyler Moore Show, Mike Farrell from MASH, DJ and musician Moby, David Bowie's Piano Man, Mike Garson, producer Robert Margoloff, produced Stevie Wonder and Devo, director Morgan Neville, who won the Academy Award for 20 Feet from Stardom, and so much more. There are live performances from artists such as psychedelic cumbia punk band The Commons, and jazz band TLQ featuring Trevor Lawrence and pop star Masumi, as well as interviews with comedians Anthony Atamuk, who's Donald Trump of The President's Show on Comedy Central, John Fugelsang, Hal Sparks, and Jimmy Dore. In addition to interviews, there are also conversations and panel discussions with scientists, university educators, award-winning authors, podcasters, radio show hosts, entrepreneurs, other filmmakers, leaders in politics and activism, such as presidential candidates Dennis Kucinich and Jill Stein, journalists Robert Scheer of Truth Dig and Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks, economist and professor Richard Wolff, and conservative political analyst Ann Coulter. The show also features coverage of events with a broad range of topics, from political conventions to environmental expos, film festivals, and other community events. There are specials outside of the regular format that focus on specific subject matter, such as sustainability and the environment, worker cooperatives, economics, history, and politics. I always loved the live experience.
In the 2020s, the global pandemic was a part of everyone's story. And in March of 2020, just 2 weeks before the lockdowns were announced, I walked through those doors right there and was on the stage of a national television show. When it finally did broadcast, it was in May and then rebroadcast in July. The final edit on television included my message to the world.
I think that message is still true now.
I believe that it's a critical time in our history right now to bring people together, and I think what better way to do it than with music?
All right, Mr. Nowman.
Niswander, music on Apple iTunes and other aggregates, albums Revolution of the Heart and Adventures in Wonderland. There's also the television show The Nowman Show, which is a cultural magazine variety show focusing on arts, entertainment, education, and news on YouTube, as well as Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, and other aggregates. And if you'd like to read, the book, The Universe According to Nowman, is available. And on iTunes, a brand new music single, Compassion Live, available now.
I think we need a new renaissance. What can we do together to help make this world a better place?
Every historical epic requires each of us to recreate the spirit of the times.
On a bigger level, America needs love.
I believe a renaissance is on the other side.
I have no idea how we can bring people together. I really don't. I would say music.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Comedy's too cultural. Music kind of transcends.
We need a new renaissance where music and art we can find. We need a new renaissance, theater of the sublime. We need a new renaissance. Be more generous and kind. We need a new renaissance. Something for the heart and the mind.
Be present always. And stay tuned.
We're getting ready to change the world, so stay tuned.